On a drone pass over Shapotou, the Tengger Desert looks frozen. Then the wind snaps and the dunes start marching grain by grain, straight toward whatever humans dared to build in their path. Put a railway here and you're not maintaining a line, you're defending it. Shapotou used to get sandy weather around 300 days a year, and when the Baotou Lanzhou Railway opened in 1958, sand buried the rails and forced 11 suspensions in its first year. This is where China's engineering reputation gets forged. Projects where the enemy is physics and the penalty is shutdown. The punchline is brutal. A 1-meter straw checkerboard pressed into dunes, built as a boundary layer control surface, now upgraded with mechanized laying reported to push efficiency over 60% higher, extend service life from 3 years to 6, and even allow reuse. We're gonna stay down at ankle height, where wind decides whether sand stays parked or turns into a moving wall, and how a cheap grid becomes one of the toughest pieces of desert infrastructure on the map. Time-lapse a dune, and it stops being scenery and starts acting like a conveyor belt. A Bar-Chan dune is crescent-shaped, and it migrates downwind as sand climbs the windward slope and avalanches down the slip face. Recent analysis in the Tengger Desert reports average dune migration around 2.1 to 3.7 meters per year, which sounds small until you lay a track and realize that's a few meters of drift attacking the same fixed point every season. On a wide aerial, the scale makes the threat feel personal. The Tengger Desert covers about 36,700 square kilometers, and corridors slice straight through it. Rail lines, highways, pipelines, and access roads. These straight cuts create long, smooth surfaces where wind can accelerate near the ground, exactly where sand transport begins. Down at boot level, the trigger has a name: shear stress. The sideways shove wind applies to surface grains. Once enough grains start hopping, each landing kicks loose more grains and transport ramps up, even if the wind eases later. A few strong events timed wrong can reload an entire corridor. Start with the clean moment. After a storm, crews push drifts off a road and the surface looks fixed for 5 minutes. Then the next gust walks the same sand right back in because the airflow at ground level never changed. Close up, sand is brutal on machines. Quartz grains act like endless grit, chewing seals, grinding bearings, and clogging filters. Traction drops, tires trench, tracks sink, and fuel gets burned just to keep moving across something that behaves like a fluid with memory loss. Hard surfaces fail in predictable ways. Heat swings open cracks, bases settle unevenly, edges form, and wind focuses scouring along the weak line. Chemical crusts fade under UV and abrasion. Even a perfect patch loses the bigger argument. The upwind wind field feeding a corridor is wider than the corridor itself, so the source keeps reloading the problem. Walk to the edge of a naturally stabilized patch and you can feel the physics under your boots. Plants and crusts make the surface rough, and roughness slows the near-ground wind, traps fine particles, and cuts off the sand supply. The catch is timing. Seedlings can't survive long enough on bare dunes to build that protection. They get blasted out before roots grab. So engineers build the toughness first. The straw checkerboard is straw arranged in a grid with half buried for anchoring and half exposed to create drag in the boundary layer. Scientists at Shapotou Desert Research Station of the Chinese Academy of Sciences devised the technique in 1957, and it spread because it worked where corridors needed it most. Then the dimensions got locked in. Fieldwork and CFD modeling found 10 to 20 centimeters is a reasonable exposed height for strong effect at a relatively low cost. The same research calls 1 meter by 1 meter the practical cell size with strong windbreak and dune fixation performance. And later windproofing studies found the 1 meter board gives the best protective effect near the surface. From above, the job looks like paving, just with straw. Bundles arrive at the dune edge where vehicles can still reach. Then crews snap baselines with stakes and string because a drifting grid leaks wind and sand. The outer frame goes down first, and the interior gets filled fast, square by square, until the surface stops acting like one smooth runway. Move into the install and poured makes sense. Straw gets inserted and pressed so the grid becomes a surface treatment. In a widely described field method, crews bury about 10 centimeters and leave around 30 centimeters above the surface on each straw line, with the spacing between lines set at 1 meter. That exposed section forces turbulence right where sand tries to start moving. Angle matters on slopes. Installers place straw vertical or slightly tilted depending on dune face and dominant wind direction, and they work from the upwind side so finished squares shield the next line of work. In cross-section, each cell becomes a low wind pocket near the ground, and grains lose momentum and drop out along the straw lines, building sand in predictable ridges. Grid closure is the moment the system turns on. Connected squares erase long, smooth lanes. Wind can't build speed inside the cells, and hop distances shrink. Then comes the handoff. Shrubs and grasses get planted in protected squares so roots and crusts can take over long-term stabilization. In regions with annual precipitation above 200 millimeters, the classic research notes bushes and herbs can be planted to push the windbreak and fixation effect further. Quality control decides whether the desert finds an escape hatch. If spacing drifts, if embedment gets shallow, or if a few lines go missing, wind reaccelerates in a stripe and saltation restarts. Crews patch gaps the way you'd patch a road surface, and they watch the boundary where the grid meets open dunes, because that edge tends to bury first and lose effect over long working hours. Now the operations upgrade. Since 2019, an updated version laid with brush net rope pushed mechanization into key steps. Production efficiency is reported as over 60% higher than the manually tied grid. Service life extends from 3 years to 6, and reuse is part of the design. Crews also use grass-tying vehicles with pressing blades that plant straw precisely into sand as the machine rolls forward. The labor math shifts fast. 2 workers used to build up to 3.6 mu, 0.24 hectare of checkerboards a day, and mechanized methods can push that to 6 mu, about 0.4 hectare. The same reporting says costs can drop by more than 10%, which matters when your project area is measured in square kilometers, not in roadside strips. One reason this story hits from the air is simple math. A 1 meter by 1 meter cell is 1 square meter. 1 square kilometer is 1 million cells. Cover 10,333 hectares of sand with checkerboards, a figure reported for Zhonghui, and you're already talking about more than 103 million 1 meter squares laid into dunes. Rail is the cleanest stress test because rail can't detour. The Baotou to Lanzhou Railway is about 990 kilometers long and began operating in 1958. It passes through the Tengger Desert near Zhonghui multiple times and runs past Shapotou, where 16 kilometers of moving dunes can reach up to 100 meters high. Zoom in on the early warning signs and the stakes sharpen. Xinhua reporting says Soviet experts invited to design the railway predicted it would be buried by sand in 30 years. That prediction landed before modern equipment, before modern monitoring, and before anyone had proven that a low-tech grid could hold the line. Scale also becomes policy math. China's desertification area is reported as more than 1.72 million square kilometers, with about 300,000 square kilometers not kept under control effectively, and a cited treatment rate around 1,980 square kilometers a year. Run that division, and you get a terrifying answer. Roughly 152 years on that pace. That's why efficiency gains matter. And why Ningxia tracks outcomes like engineering KPIs. One official report cites desertified land in Ningxia down about 154,000 hectares and sandy land down about 121,400 hectares between 2015 and 2022. Those are huge land areas moving in the right direction, driven by systems that can be built, repaired, and scaled. This is boundary layer physics with a hard cutoff. The boundary layer is the thin layer of air near the ground where friction and obstacles shape wind speed. When that near-ground speed stays high, sand starts moving. When it drops below threshold, transport collapses. Roughness length is the engineering number that captures how bumpy the surface looks to the wind. Raise roughness length and the wind profile near the surface bends downward, cutting speed right where grains get lifted. In classic experiments and CFD modeling on checkerboards, the straw grid greatly increased roughness length and could decrease the intensity of sand flux dramatically, reported as high as 99.5% under some conditions. Friction velocity is another useful handle. It describes the drag strength of airflow at the surface, basically how hard the wind is pulling on grains. Threshold wind is the point where sand starts moving, and there are two flavors worth knowing. The fluid threshold is what it takes to lift grains from the rest. The impact threshold is lower because once grains are already hopping, collisions help keep hopping going even if the wind weakens. That hop chain has a name: saltation. Grains lift, fly, hit, and splash more grains loose, break the chain, and dunes hesitate. Modeling work on straw checkerboard barriers makes the target simple. Keep wind inside and behind the grid, below the impact threshold, so transport can't sustain itself, and below the fluid threshold so new motion can't restart locally. Then the biology shows up like a second phase of construction. With scouring reduced, fine dust accumulates, a hard soil crust forms, and moisture sticks around longer after rare rain or even overnight dew. That creates microhabitats, where seedlings survive long enough to root, and straw gradually rots into organic matter, improving surface soil and stability over time. Replacement is a real maintenance variable. The classic research flags labor cost and replacement after about 3 to 5 years as practical issues, which makes the modern extension to 6 years and reuse more than a nice timeline. It changes how often you have to rework the same footprint. From above, the first change is texture. Smooth dune faces turn into a patchwork, and wind streaks stop running clean. The surface starts parking sand in lines you can predict, which turns inspection into a route instead of a chase. On the ground, the payoff is operational. The Baotou to Lanzhou line carries daily traffic. Xinhua reporting described 11 passenger train sets and 36 cargo train sets running each day. Even short closures ripple, and that's why the early years were chaos and the later decades matter. The same reporting describes a physical speck that shows up in the landscape. Straw pieces set about 10 centimeters below the surface and around 30 centimeters above it, spaced 1 meter apart. Over time, the sand inside the checkerboards forms a hard crust, and that crust was described as lasting more than 30 years. Zhang Wei's broader numbers show what working looks like at a city scale. Reporting describes reclaiming 1.5 million mu of desert through afforestation, out of a total 1.68 million mu, with vegetation coverage rising from under 1% to 42%, and the Tengger Desert pushed back by about 25 kilometers. That's the desert giving up ground, far beyond a cleanup. Here's the lesson that travels. Designed for the wind field, not just the asset. Corridors fail when the upwind fetch stays smooth and energetic. They survive when the upwind zone bleeds energy before it hits steel, asphalt, or ballast. Treat the straw grid like a modular surface system. It's built from units small enough to interrupt airflow everywhere, and that unit scale makes maintenance possible. Patch weak stripes, extend the upwind edge when wind patterns shift, and plan replacement cycles the way you'd plan resurfacing on a road. The real wow is the target. A moving dune runs on energy in the first few centimeters above the surface. Change that layer and the desert loses torque. Straw makes the wind waste energy in turbulence. Sand drops out, crusts form, roots take over, and the corridor keeps breathing. This technique also travels beyond Shapotou. The classic research notes it has been used to protect railways and highways across arid regions of China, and it cites successful protection of about 500 kilometers of highway crossing the Taklamakan Desert. That's a scale of confidence you only get after decades of field proof. From the air, the checkerboard looks like decoration stamped into dunes. At ground level, it's a control surface that forces wind to slow down where sand decides to move. Devised in 1957, still used because it keeps working, now mechanized because the math demands speed. When 1 meter squares multiply into hundreds of millions, desert control stops being a stunt and becomes operations. And in places like Shapotou, operations is the difference between trains that run and a corridor that disappears.